Okay, we've looked at analysis, we've looked at redo. Now let's look at the undo phase. The simple solution for the undo phase is just to go through the transaction table, and for each transaction that's left, those transactions are called loser transactions. They're the ones that need to abort. So for each loser transaction, we could do the transactional abort we learned on the previous slides. And that would absolutely work as our undo phase. The only problem with this is that it might be a little inefficient because we're going to bounce through the log transaction by transaction. And that's a lot of random I/O following those undo.NextLSN chains, one transaction at a time. Maybe we can do something where in one backwards pass of the log, we essentially undo all of the loser transactions in one pass. And that's what the next slide is going to do. So keep in mind in the next slide, if you find it a little tricky, it's just an optimization. It's going through and doing one transaction at a time abort, but it's kind of doing all of them at once and keeping information on each of them as it goes. So here's the pseudocode for this. We're going to keep a set which is called toUndo. It's got the lastLSNs of all the transactions in the transaction table to start with. Okay, so those are the LSNs we need to undo. And then we're going to loop here. While toUndo is not empty, we're going to find and remove the largest LSN in the set toUndo. We'll call that thisLR, this log record. Okay, so we've got the log record with the largest LSN in toUndo. We take that out of the set. If thisLR's type is a CLR, then the next thing to undo is the undo.NextLSN in that CLR, right? So if the undo.NextLSN of this log record is not null, then we insert it, that undo.NextLSN, into toUndo. That's the next thing to undo. That's what CLRs are for, in essence, is to keep these undo.NextLSNs there and to get us to the point where we start undoing things that haven't been undone. And so if you see a CLR, you know it's been undone, and you just take its undo.NextLSN and put it into toUndo. If this is a CLR, but its undo.NextLSN is null, well then actually we succeeded in undoing everything for this transaction. So we write an end record for thisLR.transaction ID in the log. We're done with that transaction. And then, of course, that transaction is no longer in toUndo. We're finished with it. Okay, if this log record is not a CLR, then it's an update. We're going to write a CLR for the undo we're about to do in the log. And then we're going to undo that update in the database. And we're going to insert thisLR.prevLSN into toUndo. And that's the next thing to undo for this transaction. Okay, and we keep doing this loop until we've done everything in toUndo and toUndo is empty. At that point, we've successfully undone all of the loser transactions.